Good evening and welcome back if you follow me. I just got out the bath and Spirit's downloading, so there's important messages coming through, but I don't know what deck yet. Usually I have an inkling of the the downloads that Spirit wants me to talk about, but they just said to me get every deck, so it's going to be one of those readings where I'm just directed to, a card here in that deck and a card there. So yeah, it's just going to be, pick a deck reading. Pick the cards out of the decks basically. But the messages will all continue on. They always do. This is one thing I do know when this happens. So yeah, but I'm getting drawn to Divine Feminine. I said get the Divine Feminine deck, which I did, but I'm getting drawn to this straight away. So let's see. Divine Feminine. What Divine Feminine wants to come through? Oh, and it's Khadijah, the mother of believers. And her words are, I am spiritually and financially abundant. I provide heaven and earth for myself. She's all in a red, very powerful colour, red. It's that colour of, taking control, being your own boss. When you see, I love red lipstick. I love the colour red, I think it just shouts, you're in control. You're in full control of yourself, and you stand in your power when you wear red. Got red nails, but yeah, colour red speaks to me, boss woman. She's saying she's spiritually and financially abundant. Yes, you are. When you stand like this, and you're standing in your full knowing of yourself, and this lady knows herself. She's got her hands on her hips. She knows herself. She's bright colour. She's not scared to shine. She's not scared to show the world who she really is. And yeah, she's abundant, and she's abundant because that fear is gone. She's dropped all the fear of shining. I mean, she's really, really shining. This colour stands out. So she's dropped that fear, or she's healed that fear. And yeah, she knows her heaven and earth. She knows she's got that. She's connected to spirit, and she's also, connected to the earth, physical. She's both. She's in full control of who she is. This lady, she's boss woman. She's abundant. She's in all her power. So, which card now? When Women Had Wings. Saying sweet tea first, and then When Women Had Wings. I've got to go with what they say. So there's something in the Sweet Tea Love Oracle. Let's carry on from this message. And this is my Oracle deck for love, twin flames, divine feminine, divine masculine energy. Yeah, a bit of a thingy out reading today, should I say. Can't put words together today either. I'm sure these energies are messing with me. Anybody else feel like that? These energies are pretty been pretty strong, haven't they? That 11-11 portal. And that 11-11, also new beginnings, closing out old cycles. This boss woman, she's you know, she's abundant. She's in her abundant timeline because she's the boss of herself. She's recognised that heaven and earth in herself. You know, she's bridged that also as well. If you cut my series on the Rainbow Bridge, that's what I was speaking about. You know, that heaven and earth connection inside us all. That rainbow bridge, that waking up the chakras, healing yourself, and then becoming this, you know, this financially abundant, independent boss woman who wears red and, you know, speaks the truth, and yeah, stands in all her power. Yeah, so this soul searching, needing to work on some personal issues first, motives, purpose, and self. So yeah, this card on the twin flame journey. I'm going to speak twin flame because I am twin flame and it is my path, and I've got, you know, that's the knowledge I hold because I've done the work, I've done the healing, I've gone into this, you know, I've gone into that shadow and I've alchemized the shadow, not eliminated the shadow. I've gone into it, I've alchemized it, and I've balanced it with the light. You know, you've got the shadow and the light. I've balanced these two out. So I've balanced my divine feminine, my divine masculine, you know, out. Both of them inside of me. And that is what has created my boss woman attitude. My independency. Is that a word? Independency? Yeah. My independent era, you know, which I'm in now. Might be a moment. So me going into my shadow and my light, I'm balancing the two out, not eliminating them. Never eliminate them. They you know, they exist with each other. That balance of the two. So going in, not being scared to go in. I mean, at times, I'll be honest, I was scared to go into my shadows. It's a scary, scary, lonely place. And nobody else can come with you when you go into your shadows. You go it alone, you know, and there's a reason behind that. You have to do this journey alone, because how else are you going to build that independence up, what this boss lady has in herself? How else are you going to find that in self? How else are you going to find your, you know, your heaven and earth in self? You're not going to. You need to go into the dark places, you know, the light, balance them two out on your own. And, you know, that is when you come into this. After you've balanced all of them energies out, you know, the divine feminine, divine masculine, you come into this. You become the boss lady. I've built a business. I've built a candle business up. Very much guided from my guides, you know. I give them all the credit, you know, apart from I have done the work. I have done the work on self as well. And they're telling me off. They're saying, no, you have done the work, you know. And I have done the work. But very much guided. You know, twin flames are guarded. We're protected also. Our spirit guides, you know, will protect us and guide us every step of the way. And I felt very, very much guided by an invisible force. I've never seen them. I think that would scare the jeebies out of me. Is that a word? I don't know. But, you know, that would scare me if I'd, you know, if I'd seen them. I have heard my name being called out. And I knew that was nothing malice. You know, I knew it was my spirit guides waking me up to get my attention at 3 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, getting this information across to me, because I wasn't listening, I wasn't hearing it. I was still in this. I was still in my shadows. I was still listening to the ego. I was still letting that ego take over me. It wasn't balanced out enough, you know. This is your dark night. This is you going into that dark night person on your own, going into your shadows to heal, balance out your energies inside of you to become boss woman or boss man, you know. Yeah, and she knows she's got the heaven and earth inside her. She's done that work, you know. So there's no doubt there. No doubt at all. I don't sound like that, but I've got no doubt at all. about my path and about the healing I've done. So, card now. So, when women had wings. Now, I was really drawn to this deck because, yeah, I mean, it speaks of women, but it's also got the masculine. Oh, what's that card doing in there? Celebration. Yeah, I'm going to keep that card out. There's nothing by coincidence on this path. After you've gone into your, you know, your dark night, you're healing, you're balancing out the ego, not eliminating it, balancing it out. You know, understanding that you need the dark and you need the light. You know, we all do. We don't eliminate it. We need that balance. Yeah, then comes the celebration. So let's see what when women have wings. I absolutely love this deck. It's beautiful, very empowering deck. Yeah, as I was saying, you know, for me to become that boss woman, this journey totally transformed me. It turned me into that boss, and I knew this card was going to come out. It turned me. You heard me say that? It turned me, and this card just flipped out, and this was the card before I even shuffled the deck. I was going to speak out loud and say, I'm going to guess the next card for the Wheel of Fortune, and this card just flipped out. No word of a lie. I mean, I don't know if you caught that on camera or not, but I should have spoke it out. They're saying, yes, you should. But again, I don't need validation on my path. You know, I don't need validation from others. I know my gifts. I know my spiritual gifts. I know I'm a reader. I know I've got clairvoyance. I know I've got clairaudience. I know I've got all these spiritual gifts because of who I am on my path. You know? So all these ancient gifts that have come back to me, it's because I've gone into my shadows. I've gone into that healing. I've regained these gifts back, you know, that was hidden for many lifetimes. So yeah, not taking one lifetime, taking a few lifetimes. I'm an ancient soul, as drastic as that sounds. That's what I am. I am that. And you know, when you know your path, you don't need no validation from anybody. You know, you've done the work. You've done that. Yeah, you've done that. You know, that shadow work. But the wheel, yeah, very much so. I should have spoke it out, but I didn't. Anyhow, the wheel. So after you go into your shadow, your light, you start balancing the two out. Then your divine feminine and your divine masculine starts to balance out. Then comes the turning of the wheel, turning of fortunes, of your fortune, you know, because when you're in all this energy, it's not very good energy to be in. You're going into your shadows. Nobody wants to go into any shadows. It's scary. But you also know there's light, you know, you keep your eye on that light. I always did when I was in my darkest times, the dark night of the soul. You know, this person just going into the beyond of nothingness, you know, you don't know where you're going to end up. You can see a little bit of light, but you can also see that shadow. You know, it's scary stuff. And dark night is scary. But once you do the work and you do merge through the shadows and you balance them out and you face everything inside yourself that you don't like about yourself too, you know. That's twin flame path, the mirror. They hold it up to you. your flaws, and also your you know, your gifts and that. And that's why my gifts have come back to me, you know, because I've had the strength, I've had the courage to go into my shadows and to heal the divine feminine and divine masculine out inside myself. And then comes the turning of the wheel on this path. And now the turning of the wheel comes when, you know, if you really balance those energies out. That's when your fortunes start to change. That's when this connection starts to change. That's when things do start getting balanced out in, you know, yourself, your business. Like, I've been working on a business for 7 years, you know, as long as my path started. Yeah, near enough. I'd say 6 years, you know, but a long time. I know 2026 is going to be that time where it takes off. How do I know that? Well, I've got the seer gift and yeah, clairvoyance, I've got that. So that's how I know that. But I also know the timelines on my path and the divine timing on my path. And also I know the stages of this path, you know. So and the synchronicities and the signs. Like, so when I started seeing the 1111 on a few years ago now, and it got more and more, and the synchronicities revved up, and I was seeing it 4 times, 5 times a day. You don't get any clearer than that from spirit, you know. I knew there was a turning of the wheel. I knew there was new beginnings starting to come in for me, not just for me, but in this connection, because I'd done the work. I'd balanced these energies out. I was at that point of, yeah, I'd done that work, you know. Then comes the turning of the wheel. And I knew this card was going to fly out. Any more from that deck? One more from this deck. And oh, that was cards are very jumpy again tonight. Yeah, so there's your turning of the wheel. That's your turning of your fortunes, you know. That's proof that you're picking up momentum in this connection. Also in your own, you know, life, your spiritual journey, yourself, you know, your own journey, because you are. Although yes, you're on this journey with, you know, your twin flame, always, forever, you know, connected, forever. Yes, you are on it so as well, on your own, because you have to do the healing, you have to go into the shadows, and, you know, on your own, ultimately. And then that's when turning of the wheel comes, and you balance those energies, and then comes this person, you know. I'm going to pick that card. And the Magician, the Alchemist at the bottom of the deck. So what you become on this path is nothing like you was before, you know. You become the alchemist. You are the alchemist of your own life. You are the alchemist of this, you know, this connection. You are alchemy. You know, you to do all of this, to transform your shadow into light, and, you know, to transform the pain into love, unconditional love. That's alchemy. And I speak about alchemy of the heart. Yeah, you alchemize your heart. You do. You go into your heart. You have to go into your heart. Your heart gets so hurt on this path because of the, you know, the confusion, frustration, because of all the stages that you have to go through, especially the initial stages. Your heart gets really hurt, you know. That 3 of Swords in your heart, you know, that I like. That is the twin flame path. 3 of Swords in your heart. You alchemize that on this journey. So you become your own magician. You are the magician by the end of this journey. You've alchemized all that pain into love, and you're sharing it, you know, out for others. Any more? Let's see. Rose. Let's get a rose. I need all these decks that are out. Family's wondering where I am. They're waiting for me so I can watch film. But yeah, just got out the bath and spirit downloading. Again, so you know, Twin Flame's job is never done. And this card came out, the grandmothers. How beautiful is that card? And yeah, on my path, I've always had as well as a lot of knowings. I get a lot of knowings. That's as best as I can explain it. The ancestors, you know, my ancestors chose me for my family line, you know, to change things in my family line. They knew that I was the one soul, you know, that had the strength to alchemize my family line, and you know, to change, yeah, to break down all paradigms, break down all patterns of so say my mum and my mum's mum prior to me and her mum, maybe there was ladies that didn't think they could be boss women, you know, didn't think they had that power, didn't have that voice enough to, you know, be that boss woman. I've alchemized that for my family line, and I've echoed this to my family also, because it's a knowing. So not only are, you know, our twin flames here to, you know, help others raise the frequency of planet Earth in this new golden age, not only are we here to heal ourselves and, you know, hold that mirror up to each other so we can go into our you know, dark night and alchemize, you know, we are also here to, you know, change our family line, to break down all paradigms of what's been done before and bring in the new. So yeah, the grandmothers came through. Yeah, and a perspective. It says perspective on here. We do bring a different perspective to things, you know. We also end up having a different perspective throughout our journey. After we've, you know, gone through this journey, our perspective totally changes. But we also change others' perspectives of what their life, what they're capable of, you know, what their life can be, you know. I know I've opened many people's eyes to different ways of living, being, of, yeah, I know I have. And that's not an ego thing, because I balance my ego out, you know. This is this stage. I go into the ego, I go into the dark night, I go into those shadows, go into those wounds, those traumas, and I balance it out. So it's not an ego thing, it's a knowing. Again, it's all a knowing. So yeah, the ancestors, my ancestors do come through from, yeah, day one they have. One last card, because my battery's going to go. I won't be a moment. Spirit's putting me in the dark again. Let's have a look. And yeah, on this journey, you are in the dark sometimes. Yeah, Mary Magdalene card. Let's have a look. Oop, let's move these out of the way. Best be quick because my battery's going to go. Yeah, and you know, speak about batteries. Not your batteries, as in like, yeah, your fuel goes on this journey. You get exhausted, energetically exhausted, and I've been feeling that since we've come through the 1111 portal. I've been feeling my energy. I've not wanted to do my yoga as much. I've not had that physical energy that I usually have, you know, that every morning I get up and go energy. And I know why. It's because I'm going through another major energetic page. I'm getting rid of old, although I've done the work, I've done, you know, the balancing out, I am still on this journey, and I still have to go through major energetic you know, shifts, and yeah, still healing, you know, myself on this journey. Will be, it's a lifelong journey. So yeah, you run out of you run out of energy at certain points, and that's just the honesty of this path. I will be totally honest with you. That's, you know, it's pointless going through what you go through if you can't be honest to others. Yeah, this path, you hit a wall, you hit many walls. Yeah, exhaustion, energetic exhaustion it's real. It really is real, you know. And my last energetic really bad exhaustion lasted 6 months, and I knew that was because I was on the sort of last push. It was the push before I came online. It was getting me ready. It was integrating all of that healing I'd done. Because you have to have the integration on this path as well, you know, for the work that you've done.